David Moore, Dallas Morning News. When Dak has such an uncharacteristic game for him like he did this last one from start to finish, I know you interact with guys on how they take in things best. Do you not talk to him as much, or is he so hard on himself? Or I guess what's the approach after coming off a game like that going into the next one?
I mean, the approach has to always be the same, and frankly, that's a message for everybody this week. We all understand what's in front of us, but we're not looking for new personalities, new behaviors, a bunch of new ideas. We love who we are, no different with individual performances, whether they've gone the right way or not, because the reality of the game of football, no different in life, you're much better prepared through your failures than you are through your successes, because the toughest challenge I've always felt is handling success. So I just look at it as, chalk it up as experience that we can move forward with. But yeah, there wasn't a top secret meeting or 2 more hours of videotape and correction. We feel like we do a very thorough and consistent job of that week in and week out. So that's been our approach.
Have you found in your experience with him, he's always bounced back from these sort of performances pretty well and responded?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I think as a team we respond, and it definitely, as a quarterback and as, the leader and the face, I mean, he's definitely is built that way. So, yeah, I haven't even thought about it. So I have zero concern about it.
I'm Mike McCarthy, Telegram. Talking about responses, we've talked earlier in the season about how you guys have always responded from a loss with the victory. What goes into that, and can you lean on that this week?
Yeah, I think it's, just to spin off of the answer I just said, I think it just goes back to your consistency in your approach and just an understanding of, what we do in the preparation phase of it. We got off to a good start yesterday, and I think just anytime you're in an eight-day week, you're probably in danger of doing too much as opposed to not doing enough. So that's where my mindset is, and so I think it's just really sticking to your principles, your process, and make sure because one good thing about your preparation phase, you have a chance to achieve perfection because you can repeat plays, you can go back into the video room afterwards and watch it, correct it, go back and walk through it. So just staying the course on how we do things.
Todd.
Mike Todd Archer with ESPN. Quarterbacks around here, especially when you come to playoff times, are always compared to Roger and Troy and what they did. Is that fair?
It's a blessing, frankly. I mean, just think about it. I think we talked about this a little bit last week, or maybe it was the week before. I think when you work for an organization that is so rich in the history tradition, obviously there's going to be great quarterback play that goes with that. So I think it's, I think those are, intangibles and components that you can look to. And I know on a personal level that, there's a relationship there between Dak and Troy and Roger. So I think those are all benefits. I think anytime individuals can pay forward their knowledge, their experience, I think all those things are a benefit.
Mike?
Mike, when you first went to the Packers, Ted Thompson described you as Pittsburgh macho. Can you kind of talk about, right? You remember that? That's true, right?
We're playing the Buccaneers this week.
Okay. Can you kind of address how that might help you through tough times and through playing the Buccaneers and whatnot?
Well, physically, thank God I'm not playing because it'd be over. So, yeah, I mean, God bless Ted. I mean, he was obviously an original, and just miss it. I mean, just can't say enough about him. But bless his heart was another Ted Thompson phrase. But yeah, I think it was in the press conference, and I think it was maybe just a expression of personality, just a growing up inner city blue collar approach. I know those are things that he definitely we definitely laughed about and was part of the impression, going through the process.
Can you lean on some of that now as you try to?
Well, I mean, yeah, I haven't changed. My approach hasn't changed since I got into this. Into the National Football League, as far as how I coach, how I prepare, how I approach it. I think just like anything, we all have backgrounds we all have starting points, starting lines, and in my personal experience, you have to always stick to that because that's the core of who you are, and that's the core to which you build everything you've accomplished off of. So work ethic and the way I was raised, directness I think is a very important part of leadership, and energy is obviously a big part of it. Actually, I really enjoyed the energy of our football team yesterday and again this morning. So I think it just really points back to be yourself, and I think it really falls in line with what we've been talking about since Monday. We've had a full season to establish who we are, and most importantly, we know how to prepare to win a game, and so we need to have perfect preparation and go out there and play to our standard, and I think we'll be very satisfied where we are.
Ed?
Mike Edwarder, ESPN. You guys have struggled outdoors on grass surfaces. Jason Garrett said he thought it was because of the pass rush isn't the same in those situations. Have you seen that, and what kind of priority is that when you're playing against Brady?
I would say, you're talking about just one side of the ball struggling? I'm trying to follow your specifics of your question. Grass is different than turf. Both sides of the ball, there is a quickness and component to that. It's something as an offensive play caller I've always paid attention to. So, a pass rush is definitely plays to the pass protection. It does give you a little more time regardless of who the team is, both sides of the ball. So that's something that I've always felt as a play caller, something that I pay close attention to even today. I'm not calling the plays because I think time clock, mind, speed, pace of operation, that's where your information comes from, as far as the ebb and flow of the game. So I think those things are normal. I don't think it's a hindrance to our football team at all because they're playing on grass too. The other side's playing on grass. So, but yeah, as far as foot speed and just practice today. Practice today is going to be a lot different today. It is not a lot. It's going to be different today because we're going to be inside than it will be tomorrow. That's part of practicing on turf and part of practicing on grass too. So I do agree with that part of it, but I don't see it's a hindrance for us going to Tampa Bay to win.
And the other part was Dan puts a lot of emphasis in terms of the identity of the defense on creating pass rush consistently. How important is that against a guy like Brady?
Oh, it's very important every week, and even more so against Tom Brady and their passing attack. You look at their numbers; they're still excellent. In how they throw the ball and what they're doing, where the ball goes, and it just really goes back to my first answer. Time clock, and is such a big part of the success of the passing game. When you're able to play on time and your time clock as far as your footwork, the ball release is in tune with the protection, then obviously efficiency favors the offense. So that's something that we're cognizant each and every week, and definitely it's heightened this week because obviously Tom Brady gets the ball out of his hand extremely well and throws on time, and he's hitting the receivers as they're hitting their breaking points and all that. So that's all part of the challenge.
Mike, when T.Y. Hilton got here, he spent a lot of time with Cal Valero. Who's the defensive equivalent for Rhodes, and what are you hoping to see from Xavier today in practice?
Well, Cannon Matthews, and obviously Al, and then George has history with Xavier, and then he's got some former teammates here with J.K. and Anthony. So he's using his words. He's feeling a lot of love. So he's doing a good job.
Dave.
Babe Laufenberg, Cowboys Radio. I hate to let the word easy peep into this, but obviously the playoffs are heightened. Mm-hmm. But is it easier in terms of your team? You don't have to look and say, hey, is this guy into it? Is this guy on point? Is this guy doing this? Or you touched a little bit on it, but maybe you got to keep from trying to do too much and let it too much. So what's your experience been when you get your team into the playoffs and how they act?
I think you've just already answered it. I think just like anything, we're definitely not short of energy. We're not short of focus yesterday. We were in a mock game, so you could feel them today in the meetings. So if anything, it's I think you have to guard against too much more than not enough. So but we're off to a good start.
John Michaud, The Athletic. When you look at your run game, what gives you confidence that you guys can get it going against Tampa Bay?
Oh, I mean, a lot of things. I mean, obviously, our run blocking unit, you know, our ability to be versatile if we need to. Now, they schematically challenge you. They're multiple both in their base defense and in their nickel. So, I mean, this is going to be there's going to be a chess match for say, in how you run the ball. I mean, that's part of the challenge of playing Tampa. And then, most importantly, just our players. Our players are, we don't feel like there's not a whole lot that we can't do as far as what direction we want to go. And at the end of the day, it's about the guy carrying it. And I think we got a hell of a running back group. I think Zeke and Tony, their numbers speak for themselves. And just like anything, it's important for them to touch the ball.
And does anything change with Dak, with it being, you have to win to move on, that, hey, if there's something there, run, where maybe you wouldn't have been, having him do that earlier in the season?
Yeah, I mean, just, to be honest, I mean, I've never told Dak not to run. If anything, I encourage him to ignite the scramble drill more, because it's something that, was not existent before I got here, and I think it's gotten better each year, and I think he's really good at it too. So, but at the end of the day, you can't push, particularly your quarterback, to go play this way. I mean, because he just has to trust the play call, be aggressive with the adjustments, and play the play, because this defense is schematically, the volume's high, and so we got to make sure that we keep ourselves in clean plays.
Mike McCarthy, Dallas Morning News. The decision to practice indoors before a game on grass, is that related to the wind or just more privacy? What will come into that?
Did you check the weather today, Michael?
I haven't yet.
Okay. What was your wind report?
Strong.
18 miles.
Strong. That's a vague answer. Yeah, 18-mile-an-hour winds. 25 to 30-mile-an-hour gusts. So it's going to be 2-mile-an-hour Monday night. So.
Is that all you had, Mike? All right.
Is that it?
Jory?
Oh, okay.
Mike, Jory Epstein, Yahoo Sports. I know we've talked at length about Tom Brady this week, but to what degree did you address just the playoff mystique of him in meetings with the players?
Oh, I think you got to embrace these opportunities. I mean, think about it. I mean, you're talking about, clearly probably the most decorated, player of our generation. I mean, maybe even the history of the National Football League. So, I mean, that speaks to what he's accomplished. But I know as competitors, we're all excited about this opportunity to compete against Tom. But at the end of the day, this is football. It's more about the 11 and all the things that go into it. But yeah, I would say, and that's something you can ask the players in the locker room. I mean, we're excited about this opportunity.
Scott Anderson with the AP, talking a minute ago about Dak in the run game and not sort of telling him one thing or another. You only had a couple of years where Aaron had double-digit interceptions. I just wondered on that front, is that something that as the interceptions pile up, you sort of assess on your own more and want to talk to him about it a little more, or do you just kind of leave that?
Well, I think it's like anything. I mean, and obviously we're talking about interceptions, but if there's a negative component of your play, the reality of your evaluation process and how you apply it to the next opportunity. I mean, that's part of it. I mean, I think you have to be practical about that. So, I mean, it isn't like, you're going to stop the process and go back to training camp and I was going to say something dumb, but just go back to I'm trying not to make any quotes this week, Jory, but so my point is you got to keep going. I mean, it's a 17-game season. You just got to keep growing. And I said this earlier. I have great confidence in how we evaluate our players. The intensity of the grading that the coaches go through Sunday night and Monday morning. I mean, they put a lot of time into it. So, in Dak in particular, he's being coached, through the things that he needs to continue to build off of, which is the majority of his play. And I know we're talking about the negative now, but you definitely have to correct and learn from us. So I think the application of moving forward is really the answer to your question, as opposed to sitting here and just harping on the negative number.
What impressed you most about Tyron's approach over the past month when he's gone about it?
Diligent, consistent. I mean, really, just they're wanting today that, you know, he's in there every morning, you know, during his rehab, same time. So just his consistency and his professionalism is top notch.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Noah Brown and Gallup kind of up and down. What's your confidence level that you can get them when you
Well, it's big time for these guys. You know, this is what playoff football does. I mean, it's, you know, it's all about matchups and, you know, how they're going to play CD and, you know, what, you know, where does Dalton lie in in their conversation, and, you know, and particularly with their coverage background, that, you know, the origin of it is quarters. So, you know, when you live in the quarters world, is, you know, as far as your base, your ability to double and do those types of things, you know, particularly regardless where the receiver lines up, it's, you know, that's all part of the challenge. So at the end of the day, it's about opportunities, and, you know, I think Mike will know, and Ty will have opportunities in this game.
All righty, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.